Mentioned the change by change reasoning. That's the part most people
Man who said, I write coupon-tested mail order.
3 times the generic copywriter.
So 100 letters in the working range yields somewhere
That's
between...
about 90 days at the cadence. 1 client a week from a sustained outreach.
Inventory grows. After roughly 5 case studies, the man stops chasing clients.
In 1907, the highest paid copywriter in America was making $185,000 a year. Adjusted to 2024, that's around $6 million. He didn't sell creativity, he sold tested measurement. If you had $1,000 in a laptop today, what would you actually do? That's the show, The Old Money Playbook. Links in the description. This week, play 3 of 7. The operator who turned tested copy into a science. He started without a single advertising credit at a bookkeeping desk in Grand Rapids. He ended up running creative at Lord & Thomas in Chicago, the largest agency in America. He wrote 2 books that Bill Bernbach made every Doyle Dane Bernbach copywriter read, and that David Ogilvy called the most important books on advertising ever written. Claude Hopkins.
I was a junior bookkeeper at a felt shoe company, 22 years old. The mailing piece for Bissell, they sold mechanical carpet sweepers, landed on my desk because no one else at the firm would write it. I wrote 2 versions. One ran the way mailing pieces ran in those days: courteous, descriptive, gracious. The other one named the price, counted the bristles, said what the sweeper did to a rug, in numbers. The second piece outpulled the first by a margin we could trace coupon to coupon. I had not, until that letter, understood what advertising actually was. Lord & Thomas hired me 12 years later on the strength of 3 more tests like that one.
So someone listening to this is sitting at a kitchen table tonight, has decided he's going to try paid copywriting, and is about to type, "How do I become a copywriter?" into Google. What did that look like for you, in your terms, and what does it mean for him today?
The mistake every new man made then, and I imagine still makes, is to call himself an advertising man, without naming what kind. The trade was already specialized in 1898. There were mail-order writers, retail circular writers, magazine display writers, different crafts, different rates, different proofs. The man who said, "I write advertising," was paid the wage of a clerk. The man who said, "I write coupon-tested mail order," was paid the wage of a department head. The constraint set the rate.
Right, so today that's the same idea. There's I'm a copywriter, which on Upwork sits around $50 an hour. And there's the asset type specialist, email launch sequences, sales pages, video sales letters, ad creatives, webinar scripts, different rates per asset, different test cycles, different audiences buying.
Then the question is, which one? There is a temptation, natural, to pick the asset that pays most. Video sales letters, you said, 5 to 15,000 apiece by your numbers. That ceiling is real for an established specialist. It is not the rate a man earns in his first month. The first month, the asset that earns is the one whose test cycle is fastest and whose attribution is cleanest.
Email sequences.
Email, 7 to 14 days from a send to a readable signal. Opens, clicks, revenue per send, all visible inside the same dashboard the operator already owns. A sales page rewrite cannot match that because the sales page sits behind a traffic source the writer does not own. Paid, organic, list, all converting at different rates against the same page. The signal is contaminated.
Okay, so today that's basically pick the asset where you can read the result without arguing about the traffic mix. Email sequence specialty for a first-timer.
Pick 1, not 5. The man who chooses email sequences and writes his cold outreach against email sequence prospects builds his portfolio, his proof, and his pricing on one axis. The generalist competes on price. The specialist competes on result. That is the same gap in 1898 or 2026.
The first move today is the constraint. Pick the asset class, then build against it. The thing every aspiring copywriter hits next is, I have no clients, so I have no portfolio, so I can't get clients. How did you get past that before there was a portfolio for you to build?
I rewrote other men's work. Out of curiosity at first, then deliberately. A circular for a Chicago dentifrice company would arrive in the post. I would read it, mark what failed, draft what I would have sent in its place, and keep both. By the time Lasker offered me Lord and Thomas, I had a folder of those, the original, my rewrite, the change-by-change reasoning. The folder was the interview. Lasker hired me sight unseen on the strength of one mail-order test, but the folder is what told him I would not stop.
Okay, so today that's basically pick 3 to 5 public assets in your specialty. Live sales pages, public email sequences from established creators, ads from the meta ad library, and rewrite each one. Document the changes against named principles. Publish the diff.
3 to 5. Below that reads as trial work, a man practicing. Above that becomes procrastination dressed as preparation.
Where do you put
The cheapest competent place. Notion has a free tier. The public page is sufficient. Webflow is $14 a month if a man wants the wrapper to look professional. Both are adequate. The wrapper is not the asset.
In the documentation, you mentioned the change-by-change reasoning. That's the part most people skip.
That part is the asset. The before is the source. Anyone can see it. The after is the rewrite. Anyone can produce one. The reason for each change, named against a principle the man can cite from a book on his shelf, that is what separates the rewrite from the hobby. Specificity, weasel removal, benefit and feature distinguished, the guarantee placed earlier, the call to action moved up the page. 5 principles, 5 changes, each annotated. That is the portfolio and the sales pitch.
And in 2026, the sales pitch part is what? A Loom recording walking through it?
A short one, 10 minutes per asset. The recording is the salesman. The prospect feels the methodology before he pays $1, which is what I wanted Lasker to feel from the folder. The mechanism is the same.
So now there's 3 rewrites with Loom walkthroughs sitting on a Notion page. The next part is where most people stall, actually finding clients. Cold email mostly. What does that look like in your terms?
Reason why. Every claim a writer puts in front of a prospect should give the prospect a reason the claim is true, not assert it. Schlitz beer in 1919. Every brewery in the country washed its bottles in live steam. We were the first to say it. The fact was not unique. The reason why was unique. The same doctrine applies to a writer's letter to a prospect. You do not say, I am a copywriter. You give the prospect a reason to read the next sentence.
Right. So today, the cold email is itself a reason why pitch. You're not promising methodology, you're showing it.
The shape is 4 lines. The subject names a specific issue you have observed in the prospect's funnel, not great idea for your sales page. A specific issue. Your hero headline is doing 3 things at once. The body opens with 1 observation, what you saw. Then 1 suggestion, what you would change. Then 1 outcome, what lift you would target if you ran the rewrite. Then a low-friction request, 15 minutes on a call this week. Total length under 120 words.
Subject specific, observation, suggestion, outcome. 15-minute ask. So the cold email is itself the reason why pitch. The methodology is in the email, not promised by it.
And the spec rewrite is linked from the call to action. The prospect goes from the email to the Loom walkthrough inside 2 minutes. That is the path.
What's the math? If 100 of those go out, well-researched, specialty-locked list, not generic, what comes back?
5 to 10 replies against industry benchmarks for personalized outreach with a specific pain point reference. Of those, perhaps 30% become a call. Of those calls, perhaps 30% close. So 100 letters, in the working range, yields somewhere between a half and 1 client.
Stacked conditional, not 100 equals 1. The math is sensitive to list quality, sender history, niche fit. Every multiplier in there can swing.
Yes, frame it as weekly cadence to 1 client, not as 100 equals 1. A man sustaining 100 letters a week to a research list will sign 3 clients in a month. A man sending 1,000 generic letters in a week will sign 0. The volume is not the lever, the research is.
Where the prospects live.
The meta ad library. Anyone running ads 90 days or longer is paying for them. The ones whose landing pages are mediocre, in your specialty, are candidates. Twitter, LinkedIn, the weekly searches for looking for copywriter or need help with sales page. The indie hackers and Reddit founders communities. Anyone announcing a launch with weak copy. A target list of 100 prospects in 1 specialty is the input.
In the sequencing tool, what would you actually use to send them?
If I were running this in 2026, and I would build the outreach on Lemlist. The dynamic personalization is what the reason why letter needs. You cannot send the same 100 letters with one variable changed and call it personalized. There is a free trial. The starter tier is around $50 a month, which any first-timer can clear inside one client.
Oldmoneyplaybook.com/lemlist if you want it. There's an alt called Apollo on the same vertical that handles bigger contact databases. Same range. Either earns the work. Pick one.
The work is the same regardless of the carrier. The letter is the work.
Right. So the outreach engine is research the list, write the 4-line letter as the reason why pitch, link the spec rewrite, run 100 a week. The volume is sustained, the research is the lever. So the call lands, the prospect's interested. Now the question every freelancer fumbles, what do you charge?
Most copywriters charge for the rewrite. The rewrite is the deliverable, the document on the page. That is not what a buyer values in 1907 or in 2026. A buyer values the result. A document is replaceable. A measured lift is not. Lasker paid me what he paid me because I sold certainty against a baseline, not creativity, certainty.
So the pricing is structured around the measurement, not the document.
3 tiers. The first is a discovery audit, $500 to $950, 5 days. Deliverable is a written document with recommendations and no rewrite. It sells to a skeptical buyer as a low-friction first step. The second is a single asset rewrite, $1,500 to $3,000, 14 days. Deliverable is the rewritten asset and a loom walking through every change. The third is optional, a performance bonus, 10% of revenue lift over a measured 60-day baseline. The first 2 tiers stand alone. The third is what separates the work from generic freelance.
3 times the generic copywriter rate.
3 times only if the work is delivered. The premium is structural. It earns out only when the writer actually delivers the measurement. Most do not. Most promise it. The man who follows through on the measurement earns the multiplier. The man who skips it has talked himself into a rate he cannot defend.
Walk me through what delivering the measurement actually looks like. 5 steps you said earlier.
Diagnose first. Pull the current funnel data. Ask for customer interview transcripts if accessible. Look at the actual numbers before drafting a word. Hypothesize second. List 5 to 10 specific changes for the asset, each tagged with a named principle so the reasoning is visible. Rewrite third. The new asset and a written testing plan attached. Test fourth. VWO for funnel pages, any word for the headline and ad copy variants where you need predictive performance scoring before the variants ever see traffic. Native AB and Beehive or Kit for email. Measure fifth. 14-day cycle minimum. Declare the winner at 95% statistical significance, which at typical conversion rates is roughly 1,000 visitors per variant.
Any word's the one that fits the figure best. The predictive scoring before variants ship is structurally what you'd run if it had existed in 1907.
The predictive performance scoring does the same job the coupon return rate did at Lickazone. It sorts the variants before they reach the audience. The cost of a wrong variant in 1907 was a wasted print run. The cost in 2026 is wasted ad spend. The discipline is identical. The instrument is faster.
Oldmoneyplaybook.com/anyword if you want to look at it. They've got a free tier that's enough to actually run a real test, not just demo screenshots.
The discipline rule on the third tier, the performance bonus, is that no man should accept a performance gig without baseline data captured in writing before the engagement begins. Without a baseline, the lift is unclaimable regardless of the work quality. The contract is enforceable only when the starting line is documented.
And underpricing because I haven't proven myself yet, that's the trap you'd say.
The most expensive trap. I charged premium at Lord & Thomas from the first contract because the methodology was the moat, not the portfolio, not the years served. A new man who underprices because he is new is not building toward the rate. He is training his market to expect the rate he charged on day one.
You did this for 30 plus years. At some point, you stopped having to find clients and clients started finding you. What flipped?
The case studies. Every campaign I ran left a documented record. What we changed, what it returned, why. The records traveled through the trade faster than I did. By the time Scientific Advertising was published in 1923, the books did the inbound for me. I never sold myself. The methodology sold itself, and the cases were the methodology made legible.
Today's version of that. What does that look like for someone 3 months into the bootstrap?
1 case study per completed engagement. Anonymized before and after screenshots, the specific lift number, a 200-word write-up naming each principle applied. Hosted on the same Notion page as the spec rewrites, the inventory grows. After roughly 5 case studies, the man stops chasing clients. They reach him.
That's about 90 days at the cadence. 1 client a week from a sustained outreach engine. 3-week average engagements, 4 to 5 completed cases by week 13.
Tight, but defensible if the cadence holds. The first 30 days are the hardest. Outreach with no testimonials, no portfolio depth, low close rates. The cash flow follows. 0 to 2,000 in the first month, 3 to 8 in the second after 1 or 2 closes, 8 to 15 in the third onwards once referrals begin. That is a math example of a typical bootstrap arc. Not a guarantee, not a promise. Markets vary, lists vary, sender history varies. The number a particular man earns is a function of all 3.
And once the case study flywheel kicks, month 4, 5, there's the question of how to scale. You said earlier there are 3 paths.
3. Each viable, none compatible with the others. The first is to productize harder. Same deliverable, fixed scope, fixed price, faster turnaround. A sales page rewrite in 7 days for $2,997. Volume sale at controlled margin. The second is to hire. Bring on junior copywriters at $30 to $60 an hour, direct the work, retain about 60% of project revenue, margin sale. The third is back-end. Package the methodology into a course at $497, add a community at $97 a month, knowledge sale. Each one absorbs an operator's full attention. Splitting attention across all 3 kills all 3.
Pick one.
Pick one. The man who tries the productization path while also hiring juniors, while also building a course, is doing the work of 3 operators. The traps are underpricing, already named, accepting the performance gig without baseline data, and saying yes to scope creep mid-engagement. Every engagement in writing before kickoff. Every change to scope in writing as a separate addendum. The unit economics quietly collapse otherwise.
The path is unglamorous. Cold email, rewriting boring sales pages, charging premium for measurement. That's part of why it works.
The unglamorous parts are usually the parts the supply of disciplined operators stays small in.
Right, the pattern's 120 years old, the tools are a year and a half old. 7 plays, 7 modern tactics, free. Links in the description. Next time, Richard Sears on the catalog as storefront. See you then.